Okay, so hello and welcome back everyone. Today I'm Kevin from KevC. Today I got my mouth again, and so that's why I'm gonna sound quite shitty today. But okay, so let's talk about these Yashicas. Today I have this new Yashica, which is the Yashinon DX 35mm f1.8 from the Yashica CC, which is quite rare in I think in the world, yes, obviously, because these things were not made very much. They made the Yashica GT, GSN, and GTN, and the G. Yeah, it's actually the G somethings, the ones with the 45mm f1.7. They made a lot of them. Then they made some of the Yashica GX, which had the 40mm f1.7 lens, and they made even less of the. Let me go focus this thing. They made even less of these Yashica 35mm from 8cc's. Now the CCs I think built a bit cheaper than the Yashica GX and the Yashica GT, but the lenses are pretty good on these things. This thing still features the old coating, this Yashinon DX 45mm f1.7. The coatings on these are like the same as the ones on the Yashica Lynx 1C, and so they produce quite similar flares. Now these two are the more modern ones. This is not Yashica, it's a certain artist and something. So these have like the more modern purplish coating from Yashica, which do not give out that many flares and are also a bit less prone to etching. Etching being the process where the fungi grows on the optic, and when you peel the fungi off, it leaves a mark on the optic. That's what happens with these lenses and the Yashica 45mm f1.4 lenses quite often. And so let's talk about these guys. The Yashica CC has a quite odd helicoid here. The helicoid has like this square bit over here, so it does not mount like on the normal ones with 3 screws on the back. All of the Yashicas do except for this Yashica CC. How it mounts is, I think, because it's so short, yeah, like so close to the camera body itself, they opted for a side mounting thingy, and so the screws don't protrude back, and so they do not like interfere with the camera itself. So in this case, you actually have to like make a square like this, yeah, on the sides to actually accommodate the screws when you're actually converting the lens itself to mirrorless. For the GX, you do not have to do this. It's quite clean, this thing, yeah, because the screws are in the middle. This thing also the same thing, yeah. The screws are inside here, so you can't really see them. But on the Yashica CC, there's something else that's quite interesting, which I found, which is this. See? I'm pretty sure you've seen it. Yeah. If you haven't seen it, then you probably don't understand that much, but look at the aperture blades. Normal blades look like these, which are like either diamond shape or circle shape, but the Yashica CC has like these double blade Y like V thingies, which do create quite cool bokeh, I'd say. They render images quite differently. I mean, like usually you see an image being an image with like smooth background and stuff like that, but if this thing you stop it down to f2.8, then you get this, which is like V-shaped bokeh. So you don't need any kind of like odd wacky filters or stuff like that, yeah, to like get these odd shapes. Another thing I find odd with this thing is this. So if you look at the aperture ring, yeah, let me go try and focus it down to the aperture ring. So therefore I'm videoing, I'm recording with the Pentax 110 18mm f2.8, so that's why it's not fisheye like usual. See, f1.8, then it goes on to f2.8. Now why this is true I'm not sure, but I do not like this because you cannot stop to f2. I like to shoot at f2 usually, because f2 is like a great balance between not being too what you call this thing? Not being too out of focus in like most of your shots, and also still having like the sharpness gains of like f4 and f8. So this is f2.8, this is f1.8, and there's no like intermediary stop. So you have to like half move this guy over like this and gauge which part is actually f2, which is quite odd, yeah. But okay, so I'm saying this is odd, not because that's like a feature I do not like, but it's because every single other Yashica lens I have has the f2 bit. Let me go show you. So here, okay. Let me go focus down, and see f1.7, f2, f2.8. Now this is the Yashinon DX 45mm f1.7. You can also see f1.7, f2, and f2.8. So I'm not sure why Yashica actually opted for the f1.8 and f2.8 like right beside it. They could have added like one stop over here. Okay, let's go on. So let's tighten this tripod down and focus down onto the lenses in front of me. Okay, now what else can I talk about? The focus, yeah. Okay, so the focus on the Yashica CC is a bit heavier than the other ones because of the helicoid design. I use all the same grease on these things, and I apply them all by hand, and so there might be a slight difference, but I know my taste, and I put roughly the same amount of grease on every single one of them. See, this is quite heavy, although not very heavy, like crazy as heck. I mean, heavy on like a heavy side of things, but not like crazy heavy that you can't even use it. So this is smooth, buttery, but quite heavy. And heavy stuff does not work well for filming, I'd say, because in filming you actually want stuff that's like light as heck, like maybe this Yashica GX. This thing is a bit lighter than that, but it is noticeably better in like pulling focus for video. I believe this is because of the fact that the Yashica GX and the Yashica GT focus rings actually have like bigger threads. This thing's really smooth and really light, because I believe this thread is like this big, see? And being that big of a thread, you can actually put more like helicals in it. I mean less helicals, I mean you can put larger helicals of the same how can I explain this? You can put the same amount of helicals, like the how many stacks of like helicoid, I don't know, like tracks essentially, which I don't know what you call this, like grooves, yeah, grooves. So you can put the same amount of grooves into the helicoid, but still have them be bigger. And bigger helicoid grooves will actually give you less resistance, I'd say, because the grease is like less packed in there. This guy is a bit thinner, which equals to a smaller helicoid, and thus you get a bit heavier focusing. And this guy, they even pushed the screws onto the outside because they probably didn't fit in here, and that's why you get heavier focusing. See, this is comparable to my Yashica 1C 45mm f1.4. Yeah, that thing. So it's comparable to that and the weight of the focus using the same grease. If you want to make this thing lighter, you can actually use some lighter grease, but I do not have any light grease that does not outgas. Outgassing greases, like when you can smell the grease, that smell like smelling a workshop essentially, that is not what you want in lenses, because if they outgas, then your optics are gonna get etching, fungi, anything like that, yeah. So that's what happens with Yashica's original grease, and I do not want to repeat the same mistake again, because that'd be dumb. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the CC, I think. Let me just try and mount them, yeah, and like, you can see like a few lights over here. Let me go try showing you the flares, yeah. And also show you the difference in focal length. So let me go push this thing a little bit back here, yeah, and lock these guys down. Now let's push this thing a bit lower. There you go. So I'm gonna be focusing on, wait. So I'm gonna try and focus on something like this simple thing right here. Okay, so I'm gonna be focusing on that Zippo with all those three lenses, and you can see the flares from these three lights over here. So let me go take the Pentax 110 off first. And let me put the CC on first here. So this is 35mm f1.8. Oh, it doesn't mount because I'm on a cheap tripod, yeah. So let me go mount the GX first. The problem with the Yashica CC is that it does not mount on my Manfrotto tripod, and that's because if you're using one of these tripods, you essentially have to like hit the like, let me go show you this. You have to hit like this bit over here on the CC, those things that protrude out, like the arms. You cannot like not hit them on the tripod. So that's why you're having, I mean, you get this effect. And is this focused on a SIP or on those lenses? SIP, okay. So you can see the flares. This thing is not cutting out the flares that well, but it is working. It's best essentially, yeah. At like killing the flare, see? Then let me now move over to the Yashica 45mm f1.7, the OG Yashica that everybody converts. Okay, now this will flare quite a lot. See? Not that much I think, because this thing is not in like the flare producing mode, but it still does give quite a lot of flares, yeah. Quite a lot more than the Yashica GX lens. And also gets like washed out a lot. Usually if you want to get flares, you actually stop down the, I mean, what you call this thing? Like, reduce the ISO and stuff like that to actually get a bit darker, because now you can see it's washed out. You should actually see flares in here, if this weren't for like the camera auto adjusting. Okay, yeah. Now let me take the camera off the tripod and let me go show you the CC lens, because the CC will not work on a tripod. Here's from roughly the same place as I was with the Yashica GX lens and the Yashica GT lens. So you can see the flares are actually quite good on the Yashica CC. Quite controlled, not that much like haze and stuff like that, but then when you stop down you can actually see the, like, let me go try and focus the infinity, and I'm not sure you can actually see it, yeah, but let's try focusing to the MFD. See, you can actually see like this is f1.8. You can see the smoothness in the bokeh, yeah. And if you stop down to f2.8, you can see like the bokeh starts change shape. See, looks jagged and like rough. That's probably not the best way to show you the bokeh on the Yashica CC, yeah, but I think that's pretty clear. See, you can start to see the star shape like that, yeah. I mean like the V shape. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, everyone. Hope you liked the video, and yeah, goodbye. Hopefully you have seen enough to actually want to buy CC.